Hi friends, welcome to the Teachers Lounge podcast, Teach, Lead, Inspire. Ben Heckerthorn here, your host and source of all things chattable in the education space. Now, it feels like ages since my last recording, probably a month ago now, and that's just it. That's the point. Time. It's so rare and so valuable, and finding those moments just to sit and talk and dialogue around a topic, well, specifically education stuff here, but here we are, on the lounge. Well, today's a fun one. Well, maybe, sort of. We're going to be chatting toilet breaks. See, I had a pre-service teacher hit me up directly, legitimately concerned about the normalisation of, everyone's fine about not being allowed to use the bathroom during class time. And that's chat. Maybe you've wrestled your way through it and have your own opinions, but let's pluck this chicken. Might tap into a few chat points, a few hacks, and most importantly, a live read of some quote, helpful comments that she received. And of course, if you're not in the Teachers Lounge, Teach, Lead, Inspire Facebook group, find that, jump in, be engaged, sit back, grab a cuppa, and let's chat toilets. Now, let's start with the fun stuff. We're going to read out the post that she sent me, then the comments. Now, a caveat, I do have permission to tap into this, maybe not from the commenters, but if you post crap, we'll call you out. Looking back in the chat, I actually saw a whopping 220 comments. So strap in. I have screened and picked out some of the best ones. So here we go. Now, the original post is this. Hi everyone, I'm a pre-service teacher, and one thing that has shocked me when I've been doing my pracs is the lack of ability to be able to go to the toilet when you need. You have to time toilet breaks with your own break, and that's if you're not on duty. If on duty, it's very difficult. I have quit coffee. Well, firstly, God help you, because of this issue, and I'm barely drinking water on prac. Teachers should be able to go to the toilet when they need! ! I wonder how this problem can be resolved. Toilets next to every classroom? Well, let's go. Let's tackle some of these comments. This might take a bit, but strap in. I just want to catch your opinion on this, of what's crazy, what's actually sensible, and where we can kind of meet in the middle. Right, here's a new little segment for a quick sponsor grab. I'm actively looking for a show partner to come on board the wild ride of the Teachers Lounge. Maybe Amart. That would be funny. But meanwhile, please punch a 5-star on Spotify and jump into the Facebook group Teachers Lounge, Teach, Lead, Inspire. And, like all the posts, throw some comments, questions in. That'd be great. But this is a space for a sponsor to jump in and really support and sponsor and drive the show forward. All right, now I've taken names out in case anyone's listening here. No naming and shaming, just, as I said, you post crap, we'll call you out. Here we go. It is ludicrous to me that teachers are expected to just hold it and shrug it off as just part of the job. You either dehydrate yourself ridiculously, which is unhealthy, or you have to hold it in so much, also unhealthy. No solution, just me being angry about it. Next one. It is amazing how your body gets into a rhythm. Go right before the bell in the morning, at recess, and lunch. Then first thing at 3 p.m, or end of the day. Your body becomes trained. Next comment. It is what it is, unfortunately. Next comment. It's called the teacher disease. And bowel cancer in teachers is so prevalent. I need to fact check that one. Next comment. I'm a new teacher, graduated last year and been casually teaching for nearly 2 years now. And honestly, I just go. If I'm on duty first break, I leave it after and then go to the bathroom before class. If I'm 2 minutes later for being a human being and needing to use the bathroom, so be it. None of this, it's part of the job. Using the bathroom is a human right. I'm a human first. Thankfully. And if they can't understand that, then that's their problem. I'm assuming they're referring to leadership. Another one. As a nearly 20-year teacher who's had bladder issues and seen a special urologist, she said teachers are a common one visiting her later in life. Jeez. Next one. Wait until you bleed. Wait until you bleed through and get told to wait till the end of your duty to go change. Dear God. Next one. Why on earth do teachers dismiss it with, it's not that hard, you will get used to it, plain and simple? It is poor practice and common practice that no other profession has in place. Alrightio, I'm catching a vibe here. Next one. I often get home and realize that I haven't actually been to the bathroom all day. You just adapt, I suppose. And I'm guilty on that one. I often get home and go, why am I so agitated? Toilet. Uh, Next one. I've only worked at one school. We ring the class next door and ask if we can let our class sit in or sit outside the door of our next door classroom while we quickly run to the toilet. Jeez, what? Hey kids, we're just gonna do a little excursion, 5 meters in the hallway. Don't hurt anyone. I'm just gonna do a poo. Anyway. Next one. I go at lunch breaks and I don't have an issue. Great for you, mate. Just ask the teachers in the block to watch your class for a minute. Okay. Next one. It's part and parcel of the job, unfortunately. Time your bathroom breaks before morning bell, recess, lunch, and afternoon bell. Can you imagine telling like an accountant who's seasoned and going, sorry, mate, you need to babysit those numbers because someone might push a button. Like in polite ways, they're going to tell you where to go. Part and parcel of the job. Next one. I just leave the class for a few minutes. Sorry, kids, I'm just leaving. Don't stand on the table. All right. Another one. Another problem is location. Toilets are so far apart. Toilets should be easily accessible and located in every building or block. Yeah, that's fair. Plus $1 million. Next one. My first prac mentor almost failed me for going to the toilet during the day without even communicating that with me. It didn't even cross my mind that not going to the toilet was a thing I was just expected to do or not do, as I had another student teacher with me in the same room at all times. That's rough. Unfortunately, not going to the toilet must be something teachers are expected to do. Add it onto your KPIs. Your bladder gets better as you go. Just don't let me start about teaching while being pregnant. Yes, I've got stories of my wife in that scenario. Failed. Gosh, almost. Next one. Yep. But you get long holidays, so deal with it. Oh my gosh. I'm guessing that's a joke, maybe. Maybe not. Next one. Welcome to the teacher's world. Next one. Build a bridge. Gosh, that's rough. Next one. I remember a bunch of teaching students getting UTIs when we all went on prac because they were holding their pee. Wow. Dear Lord. Well, that's the gist. And it's actually quite divisive. It's almost such a trivial topic, but also pushed the boundary on a serious problem that no one particularly wants to address. Now, I'm in a lot of schools in and out, and not being able to get to the toilet it's quite normalized. Now, I'm also in a chat group with three mates. They're all corporate. There's a financial advisor, a chief operations officer, manufacturing company, and a tech director of a large school. It's almost like the start of a really bad joke. But we often chat toilet chat. It's popped up a few times, and funnily, well, not funny, but a unanimous disgust, I suppose, that or teachers in general, just can't get up and go and have a cheeky 10 minutes on the toilet. They don't understand that. Well, the tech director of the school does. But there would be such an uproar in their offices if this was the case. Oh, can't go, Margaret. Those data fields can't supervise themselves. Like how would that go down in any other profession? Now, a lot of these points are targeted at one of two perspectives. Number one, it's just part and parcel of the role. Deal with it. And that is the normalizing perspective. And the second one is, yeah, it sucks, but there's strategies around managing it because it is part and parcel of the job. Actually, come to think of it, they're kind of both the same. Perhaps there's a nicer way of saying it. Like one, as a dick, and and two, in an understanding way. And from the comments from this pre-service teacher's post, there is one way and there is a second way. So the two things I want to do today. One, not be a dick, and two, be understanding in the delivery, I suppose, of these thoughts around toilet chat. So I firstly want to delve into a couple of thoughts of how the toilet situation just really sucks and probably pushes the boundary on workplace rights. So if there's any HR managers sitting in on this, maybe take a few notes. And this comes down to employment conditions. The second part, there's a few hacks, and I'll touch into those. If you are on a tight time and what the too long didn't read, well, this is it. You can't just up and go to the bathroom when you want. You need both a daily plan of attack, and I say daily, but also an emergency plan. And it's just unfortunate. So you can tune out now, or you can catch the deets now. Now, I'd also like to point out, if there's any school leaders tuning in, it is very easy with your time privileges to forget this simple stress. And so when you've got your nice little office that you can just duck out of and do a quick wee, maybe, go through the staff room, have a snack, like, good on you. But also in the back of your mind, kick the can around with your exec team about this real issue. Communicate it, dialogue it. It needs to be talked about. Particularly, you could be actively saving that, the pregnant year 3 teacher who's very anxious, or the new grad who's just come in and they might have heavy periods and is also anxious AF. Discuss this. So, the first thought, not being able to freely use the toilet when you need to, is a lack of basic human rights. Let's settle in. Now, I don't have any employment acts or fair work acts or documents in front of me for any reference. This is just purely Ben. Now, teachers, like any professional, deserve the right to attend to their basic needs. And by that, it's just a polite way of saying going to the toilet or taking a dump or whatever. Toilet breaks. The supervision requirements for the classroom often mean that teachers can't just step away from the classroom when they need to. The teacher aide can't be legally the supervisor. The trainee teacher can't be the supervisor. The teacher is the supervisor, and they cannot leave their post. Now, in nearly every profession, employees have the freedom to go to the toilet. Now, I'm going to say attend to their basic needs, so using the bathroom, without asking permission, okay? And now, if you've been in teaching forever, yeah, that's pretty normal. Now, without asking permission, or almost impossibly trying to coordinate coverage for your class. Again, somebody in accounting is not going to go, "Hey, Joan, can you just watch my monitor? I'm just going to duck to the toilet." Like, no, you just get up and go. Now, for teachers, this freedom it's constrained by their duty to supervise students 100% of the time, making it nearly impossible, I'd say impossible, to step out when needed. Teachers are caught in a conflict where their duty of care to students conflicts with their own needs. Now, as I said before, teachers are legally and ethically, I suppose, responsible for student supervision. But this comes at the expense of their own, and I'm going to call it personal well-being and control of their own bodies. So this human rights issue, is this an employer-employee boundary that has perhaps been crossed? Now, I'm posing the question, I'm just kicking the can around. I don't have the answers here because it is quite a trivial issue, but you can sense that it's actually quite a significant issue as well. Now, again, for most professionals, a quick bathroom break is not something they need to pre-plan or have a contingency plan for. But as we'll get into a bit later in some of my other notes, teachers often need to really have a game plan around their breaks and their time release. It makes it quite challenging to meet, sudden needs Now, I'm putting sudden needs in, like we've got pregnant teachers, we have people with period issues, we have bowel issues. There are many issues here. And so I'm saying when sudden needs pop up, and it can lead to high discomfort, high embarrassment, and severe problems, how do we manage that? How does HR support that? How do leaders do that? How does you, as an autonomous teacher, manage that? And it cannot be expected to go build a bridge, deal with it. So those people that said that can basically, can fill in the blanks there. Second thought is it's around well-being and job satisfaction. Now, teaching is, mate, it's already on the cusp of being an undesirable profession with, you've got the national teacher shortages at play and this inability to take a freaking bathroom break, again, might seem a small issue, but with the added difficulties and stresses of teaching in general, it can actually weigh heavy on teachers, their overall job satisfaction, which basically, I suppose, would send a message that their own needs are secondary to their job. Now, this could simply be the cherry on top for some, and they're like, I'm out. Now, this consistent feeling of toilet discomfort, could build a resentment and make teachers feel, I suppose, maybe undervalued, and you can kind of catch that thread, which affects morale and motivation, and that cherry on top, that goes, end of the year, I'm done with this nonsense. So for new teachers, especially like our Natalie, the OG poster, the pressure to develop this so-called teacher bladder adds stress to an already overwhelming experience. I don't know what your journey is, but starting teaching is already overwhelming. So the fear of needing or even thinking about a break during a lesson, it can create anxiety, especially if you're uncertain about who to go to for this quick coverage contingency. Throw pregnancy or periods in there. It's very an anxious space, and it doesn't need to be, because no one talks about this. It's not kicked around by leaders to be problem solved. Maybe it has in your school, and thank the Lord. But in a lot of schools that I have been in, there's no solution. Now, through the chats, there was a lot of commentary to do with health impacts, like limited bathroom access, which over time can have real health consequences. And like the doctor was saying, I'm seeing a lot of teachers in their later stages coming to me with bladder issues or different infections. Holding frequently, apparently, can lead to those UTIs. Again, I'm not a doctor, so don't take the advice here. Maybe kidney issues and other digestive problems. I can speak to that, like from a personal point of view. As I said, I'm no health expert, but it sounds right. And again, think of prego teachers too, or those with the medical conditions like IBS, diabetes, or other health issues. And I suppose they would also face additional risks. So this taps into job satisfaction, well-being, and personal health. Again, not a health professional, but it makes sense. And on a serious note, if you are really concerned about this, see a doctor. Get a doctor's opinion about this chat. Bring it to your leadership team and go, hey, this is the stats. This is what health professionals are saying. What's your solution? Maybe you are a leader. Go to the doctor, get some advice, and bring it to the table. Now, we touched on before about teaching being an already demanding role. So being restricted is an added pressure in this already demanding role. Like you look at teaching, at planning, actual teaching, behaviors, there's a million things that goes on during the day, and adding the stress of restricted bathroom access can feel like an unnecessary burden. Just another thing. Now, teachers are already constantly on, they're expected to be fully present, which is difficult if their mind is distracted about, I've got to quickly finish up because I've got to get to this damn bathroom. Teachers distracted by this discomfort, and I do have a story about some milk later, so tune in for that. But teachers distracted by this discomfort might really struggle to give their full attention to the students. And think about that. because needing to go to the bathroom impacts your ability to engage, manage behavior, respond calmly. Often if I'm busting, that's all I can think about until I relieve myself. And if I'm stuck in a classroom busting, that's all I can think about. The effect is a lower quality for that period of time, and God help me if it's more than 5 minutes, which ultimately affects students. Now, probably the most important thought that I'm passionate about right now is teacher burnout. Like, it's a simple and trivial thing, this bathroom stuff, but the physical and mental strain of consistently needing to hold it in or feeling anxious about finding the time to use the bathroom, it builds over time. And simply adding to the list of factors that do contribute to teacher burnout. Now, this lack of flexibility and control in daily routines can be demoralizing. As I said before, that cherry on top to push some teachers to even reconsider the profession. Now that's extreme, but given the status of the national crisis in Australia, teachers don't need that something else to push them over. Also, another quick caveat, I don't believe this issue happens to teachers on a daily basis. From experience, maybe once a week, but I do find myself caught out going, like, geez, I really need to go, but yeah, not all the time, maybe once a week, but it does still contribute to that anxiety to an already demanding role. So there's really nothing to do about it. Now, in layman's terms, yeah, build a bridge. That's that's the dick way of saying it. But I do have 5 practical hacks that I've fleshed out a little bit, and I wrote these down again, that might be able to help you or for you to bring your own edgy chats to the table. And it might be a great discussion to hear your staff's or your colleagues' viewpoints and arguments around them as well. So I'm just going to quickly recap those three chat points. So one, not being able to freely use the toilet kind of taps into your lack of basic human rights as an employee. There's well-being and job satisfaction issues around it, and this toilet issue is for being restricted. It is an added pressure to an already demanding role, and the mental stress, particularly for those pregnant periods, health concerns. You get what I'm saying. So here's some practical hacks. We're going to go from the easiest to implement to the more obscure ones there. All right, so practical hacks. Number one, pretty simple. It's that game plan. Plan ahead for your breaks. Now, it's an obvious one, but you can't always plan when you're going to go to the toilet, or there might be a line, but try and make it a priority. Like, just tangibly do it. Get that game plan to use the bathroom during recess and lunch and your releases. Even if you don't feel the urge, like you'll likely push something out. It definitely minimizes the chances, though, of needing a break mid-lesson. The second hack is, coordinate with colleagues. So establish an understanding with a colleague or the class next to you where the teacher and you can quickly cover for one another during brief moments when you need to go. It's pretty simple. I did this. I poked my head in. You give a look or mouth it, or probably don't point to what you're trying to do, but you get it. So coordinate with your colleague or the person next to you. A little understanding of if you like that's that contingency plan. Number 3, stay hydrated strategically. So hydrate consistently through the day, like water, tea, coffee, whatever your weapon is. But be mindful not to overload on your fluids right before or during a long teaching period. So know your body. For me, I'm about a 20-minute turnover, I think. So I would definitely be strategic when I'm having my coffees, but also smashing water. It would be during the lesson when I'm about to go out. So by that break time, I'd be ready to go. So stay hydrated strategically. Number 4 is about support staff. So I touched before on the legal requirements for supervision solely resting on the teacher, but utilize that support staff if available. And I would say an adult is better than no adult. So if your school has aides or teacher assistants, ask them to monitor the class for a couple of minutes to allow for a quick break if needed. And the last one is about speaking to leadership if necessary, if you feel that this is kind of you need to do this. So particularly for those with medical needs, discuss it. Leadership will likely accommodate this to ensure you have a reasonable access to breaks or an understanding of why your students were left unattended for a short period. And they will likely run their own risk assessments on that situation. Now, if failing all of those, particularly number 5, if there's no support in any form, change schools, just quit. Find another workplace that's less douchey leaders. Now, to kind of sum up in a spin, the whole toilet chat, yeah, it's freaking unfair of teachers being restricted to access the bathroom when they need it, particularly in an already time pressured and consistently stressful environment. But necessitously, or out of necessity, teachers need to plan this out as a very real scenario. Now, I've got a story. If you've listened this far, great. And well, sorry, maybe for not getting that 20 minutes of your life back. But here's my story, and we'll round it out, and I'll send you on your way to whatever you're doing. Those that know me, I'm partial to the old flavored milk or an ice cream or piece of cheesecake, even at my own detriment of being a self-diagnosed lactose intolerant man. Well, this particular day, a colleague was really nice, and after lunch they bought all the staff a flavored milk. It was a Big M or something. It was hot. It was not the NT hot kind of hot, but in Victoria. And the milk was refreshing. It was needed. Nice on the throat. Teachers, they talk a lot and it's quite soothing. Just that nice, fresh, cold, flavored, sugary milk. So I took my strawberry milk back to class, just slurping away. Amazing, delicious. Anyway, I think I mentioned I process liquids at about 25 minutes is the process rate for me. And yeah, so about 2 p.m. I recall we were watching BTN or something behind the news, and my stomach literally turned itself upside down, just growled, and I'm pretty sure I heard like the liquefaction of whatever the heck was in there. And then, if you have these kind of problems too, bam, this pretty big pang of pain and almost simultaneously, the knock. Like the knock. I want it to come out, and this needs to happen immediately. That knock. Now, as a leader in that school, all the thoughts came into my head. There was governance, supervision, risks, children standing on chairs, windows smashed, the works. Then quickly left and replaced with find a toilet now. You've got about 60 seconds. Now, I know my body well. At the time, I was doing triathlon, running, biking, swimming. I was very in tune with my body and how it ticked. So I was calculating. It takes about 40 seconds to walk to the toilet, of which there's one. A fast-paced walk pushes poo quicker, so that won't work. What if the toilet's in use? Is there a bush? Is pantsing this thing an option? Now, this was all in the space of, I think, 5 seconds. The mind goes quick. Now, all rules out the window. I just said, students, sorry, a bit more carefully. Students, hey, just got to duck out quick. Mr. Matthews has you. We'll finish BTN. I'll be back shortly. And I poked my head into the Year 2 class. James, just did some kind of toilet motion. Got a thumbs up. Burst out the door. Walked. Look, I made it. But I don't need to go into any more details, so you can kind of finish the picture there. But it happens. It's real, and you need to plan. And for those that are wondering, I don't really do flavored milks anymore. Only out of dire desperation or craving, I would down one, and I know exactly the ramifications. Well, that's it. We're finishing with that one. As I sign off, please keep this chat alive. Hopefully you're encouraged, maybe not by my story, but the chat points, enlightened, maybe enabled. Maybe you've been holding this pressure and you're going, thanks, Ben. I just needed a bit of a soundboard here and a bit of permission to go, look, I can't just leave the classroom. Just need to flag it and do X, Y, and Z game plan. And yeah, toilets and teachers, it is a petty topic, but it holds layers of seriousness in it too. And hopefully you can synthesize the points to see that it shouldn't be normalized, but it is. And there's also plans you can learn to put in to counter the problems. So tag or send this someone to pops into mind and maybe resonates with them. Also for you to join the Facebook group, get involved, ask questions, random ones like this, send me messages. And look, I truly hope you don't experience any toileting mishaps, whether it's pregnancy, period, IBS, or any chronic illness on a serious note. And yeah, and particularly that fear of processes and rules. You are a professional. You know your body, and don't let poor processes give you a UTI. Geez, that's a weird way to finish a podcast, but that's it. I'm out. Go do well and go to the toilet. There we go. Thanks for listening to this episode release of the Teachers Lounge podcast. I really do hope you've enjoyed the dialogue. The information discussed today was just that, information only. It's not specific advice. If you take action on something you've heard today, it's important to make sure that you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or otherwise. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if there is anything I can do to support your teaching or leadership journey, whether it's another topic you'd like discussed or one-to-one support. If you do know someone that would benefit from listening to this episode, please remember to tell them about it, share the episode with them, or connect us on socials. I trust you're encouraged in your role, your leadership aspirations, and your ability to serve and inspire. And that's it. Go do well.